In the world of spiritual movements and New Age philosophies, few names have stirred as much controversy in Japan as the Life Space movement. Founded in 1983 by Koji Takahashi, this group began as a wellness and self-development organization, promoting healing and mental clarity. But over time, questions began to surface. Members followed strict teachings, unusual rituals, and above all, a man who claimed to offer a path to enlightenment through life energy. Was it just a spiritual community offering hope, or was something more troubling happening behind the scenes? The Life Space movement reached global headlines after a shocking incident in 1999. Since then, many have asked, is the Life Space movement simply misunderstood, or is it a cult in disguise? Before we dive deeper into the story of the Life Space movement, take a second to like, share, and follow our channel. We bring you detailed investigations into secretive groups, spiritual movements, and true crime stories that don't always make the headlines. Your support helps us keep digging for the truth, no matter how strange or controversial it may be. If you're into mysterious stories and deep research, you're in the right place. Now let's take a closer look at the Life Space movement. At its core, the Life Space movement was founded on the belief that life energy flows through every person, and that health, happiness, and spiritual clarity depend on unblocking and mastering that energy. Founder Koji Takahashi, once a businessman, claimed he had discovered methods to heal physical and mental ailments without medicine, using only the power of spiritual energy and thought. Members of the movement were taught that most illnesses were caused by negative energy, suppressed emotions, or a misalignment with the universe. The group offered workshops, books, and life space healing sessions that promised to realign a person's energy and cleanse them of spiritual blockages. These teachings were deeply rooted in New Age concepts, but the practices began to shift into more ritualistic territory. Members were expected to follow Takahashi's guidance without question, take part in long meditation sessions, and perform specific mental exercises that would supposedly connect them with the divine life source. Over time, the group became more insular. It was reported that members were discouraged from seeking outside medical help, relying solely on spiritual healing, even in cases of serious illness. Family members of followers claimed their loved ones became obsessed with the group's philosophy and started distancing themselves from anyone who didn't share their beliefs. On the surface, the movement promoted peace and balance. But behind the scenes, critics argued that it was less about healing and more about control and dependency. The idea that only the teachings of Life Space could unlock true health gave the movement power over its members' most personal fears: death, illness, and failure. The Life Space movement revolved almost entirely around one man, Koji Takahashi. Known by his followers as a spiritual authority, he was seen not just as a teacher, but as someone with a direct connection to universal truth and energy. His word was law within the group. Takahashi led the movement through a top-down structure. Beneath him were senior followers, often referred to as healing guides or energy instructors, who helped spread the teachings and facilitate sessions. These higher-ups acted as mentors to newer members, but their primary role was to enforce Takahashi's teachings and ensure loyalty to the movement. Entry into the group was informal at first, often through self-help seminars or wellness retreats, but staying involved required deeper commitment. Members were encouraged to purchase books, attend paid sessions, and eventually dedicate themselves to Life Space full-time. As followers advanced, they were expected to donate money, offer free labor, and recruit others into the group. Over time, reports indicated that loyalty became a test of worthiness. Members who questioned Takahashi or resisted orders were often isolated or emotionally shamed, warned that doubt would block their spiritual growth. There was no voting, no shared leadership, only one central figure controlling the doctrine. This kind of centralized power, combined with financial and emotional dependency, raised serious red flags among cult watch groups and family members of former followers. What started as a wellness movement began to take on the structure of a high-demand group, with Takahashi firmly in control at every level. For years, the life space movement operated quietly in Japan's spiritual fringe. It attracted people looking for healing, peace, or answers they couldn't find in traditional medicine or religion. But everything changed in 1999, when the group made headlines for all the wrong reasons. In a bizarre and horrifying case, the mummified body of Koji Takahashi's father was found in a hotel room in Chiba, Japan. Life space members, including Takahashi himself, had been traveling with the body for months, claiming they were performing life energy rituals to bring him back to life. Followers refused to believe he was dead, insisting that his spirit had simply left his body temporarily. The public was stunned. Authorities quickly launched an investigation, and the media labeled the group a dangerous cult. The life space movement was now under intense scrutiny. Former members stepped forward, describing a world of blind loyalty, financial exploitation, and total control. Families accused the group of brainwashing their loved ones, while officials questioned whether it was criminal negligence or spiritual delusion that led to the bizarre treatment of the body. In the aftermath, Takahashi defended the group's actions, saying they truly believed in their healing process. But for the Japanese public, it was a wake-up call. The life space movement wasn't just a quirky wellness group anymore. It had become something deeply unsettling. Public perception shifted rapidly. The group was now seen as a manipulative, cult-like organization, capable of extreme behavior under the banner of spirituality. Membership declined sharply, and the group faded into obscurity, but its legacy still leaves people asking questions today. So was the life space movement a cult? Let's look at the signs. Cult experts generally point to a few common features: charismatic leadership, isolation from outside influence, control over members' lives, and a belief system that discourages critical thinking. The life space movement checks several of those boxes. First, there's Koji Takahashi's dominant role. As the sole source of truth, healing, and guidance, his influence over members was absolute. That level of control creates an environment where followers stop thinking for themselves and start depending on one person for their identity and well-being. Next, members were encouraged to distance themselves from outsiders, especially anyone who questioned the group's practices. Families were pushed away. Doctors and traditional medicine were seen as unnecessary, even dangerous. This kind of emotional isolation is a major red flag in cult analysis. The group also promoted a worldview in which only they held the answers to health, life, and death. Combine that with pressure to donate, constant reinforcement of group superiority, and public shaming of doubters, and what you get is a high-control group using spiritual language to exert power. While the life space movement may have started with peaceful intentions, it evolved into a system where control, dependency, and fear kept people locked in. Based on these traits, it fits the mold of what many experts would consider a destructive cult. The life space movement began as a promise of healing and spiritual clarity, but over time, it showed signs of deep control, manipulation, and cult-like behavior. The 1999 mummification case exposed just how far belief can go when critical thinking is replaced by blind faith. Is it a cult? Many signs point to yes. If this story opened your eyes, make sure to like, share, and follow our channel so you never miss another deep dive into the world's most secretive movements. Thanks for watching.